you think sloes are just for making sloe gin, well, stick around. Today we're going to show a wonderful savoury jelly. It's great on toast, it's superb with cold meats and sausage rolls, and it's best of all used as an accompaniment to savoury meats like venison or lamb, much in the way of red currant jelly or cranberry sauce. Hello, welcome to English Country Life, welcome to the kitchen, welcome to making sloe jelly. My name's Hugh and today I want to tell you about one of my favourite tracklements, sloe jelly. And if you've not come across the word tracklement before, it's a fun word and it's a bit like condiment. It's a thing that's served with a larger dish, but a tracklement grows near where that larger dish is produced. So think of beef and horseradish. Beef in the field, horseradish plants growing in the verges beside the field, or turkey or cranberry, and those kind of things. Well, that's what sloe jelly is. Sloe is the fruit of the blackthorn tree. It's a small shrubby tree. And blackthorn, in the UK particularly, is used as a hedging plant, so it's really pervasive in certain parts of the country. So there's plenty of sloes to be had. And it's a wonderful thing, but not much known in towns. But turned into a jelly, it's purple and shiny and it's delicious, often with wild foods like venison or duck. But it's also absolutely fantastic with lamb, brilliant with sausage rolls, and against a strong cheese, it's superb. Also just great on some homemade toast. So today we're going to show you how to make some. There'll be a recipe download down below, so don't worry about trying to make notes. First things first though, we need to go and get some sloes. Here's our sloes. Doesn't matter how many we've got at the moment, pick yourself a decent amount, but always leave some for the birds and the animals. You know they're ripe when they've gone this lovely purple colour and they've got a bit of give to the touch. All I'm doing, giving them a rinse, and I'm going to get rid of any of this sort of leafy material or twiggy material. I'm not worried about any sort of stems that are still attached to the sloes. There's our sloes then, all washed and clean. If there's a few little bits of leaf, don't worry about it. We're going to strain the liquid off later. What I'm going to do now is add just enough water to cover the sloes. I don't want them swimming and floating, just enough to fill in the air gaps between all the sloes. That's enough water. What I'm going to do now is gently bring that to the boil, stirring to make sure that the sloes don't stick to the bottom of the pan. Then I'm going to gently simmer it for an hour to break open that fruit and get it to release all its purple plummy goodness. We do things in large batches here because honestly it's more efficient. We haven't got time to do a little bit here and there, but for most people you don't need one of Alan Gale's enormous preserving spoons or a 15-litre saucepan. You can do this in a normal domestic pan. Once it's come to the boil, you can see the difference in the fruit. It becomes a lighter colour, the skins start to split and give up all that lovely colour and flavour into the liquid. At this point, it just needs the occasional stir. Honestly, it's not likely to stick unless you completely ignore it. This is what you're going to see at the end of simmering, after an hour. You've got this lovely, rich, luscious liquid. You've got mostly burst fruit. Some still be solid and that's just fine. But all the goodness, all the flavour, all the colour is given up into the liquid. Now that we've stewed up the fruit, I'm going to let it cool a little bit because I've burned myself too many times to do this with absolutely scalding hot fruit. Then I'm going to strain off the liquid, and it's the liquid that we use to make the jelly. Traditional way is through a jelly bag, which is a fine mesh bag with its own stand, but we're doing a big batch. So I'm going to use a fine mesh 5-gallon straining bag used for making homebrew with. And I'll put all the fruit in that, and then I'll tie it up, hang it off a beam and strain it into a saucepan. If I didn't have either of those, then what I'd use is something like a colander or a sieve, line it with an old tea towel or a clean pillowcase, bearing in mind it's going to get stained and you're not going to be able to reuse it, and I'd strain the fruit through that. Whatever I use, I give it a squeeze at the end and get every last drop of juice that I can out of the fruit. Once you got all your juice off, measure it back into a clean pan, and you want to have plenty of room, because the next thing you're going to do is add 1 kilogram of sugar for every litre of juice. And that's all you need to produce a soft set jelly from sloes. There's enough pectin, there's enough acidity in the sloes themselves to give a soft set jelly. As we said, if you want a hard set jelly, you can add a couple more ingredients just to boost that hardness up. But we're going for a soft set today. So, kilo of sugar in for each litre. Bring it up to the boil, keep stirring, because you obviously don't want that sugar to stick to the bottom of the pan and burn. Whilst that's going on, get some clean jam jars, enough for your whole batch, pop them in the oven, gas mark 100 centigrade, boiling point of water, for 2 reasons. 1, that sterilises it. 2, by warming the jar, it won't shatter when you put really hot jelly mixture into the jar. And at the same time, get a couple of tea plates or saucers, something like that, pop them in your freezer. You want to get them really, really cold, and we're going to use those to test the set of the jelly. As your jelly heats up, you're going to get a load of foam coming off it. Okay, and that foam is all the little bits of plant material, all the cellulose and stuff rising to the surface, being driven up by the bubbles. You want to get a spoon and skim all of that foam off, and by doing that, you'll get this beautiful, purpley, ruby-like, clear jelly. If you leave that foam on, you get a cloudy jelly. It doesn't look as nice. Then, once you've done all of that, 20 minutes at the hard boil. Keep it hard boiling, not simmering, properly boiling for 20 minutes. Once you've done that, get one of your plates out of the freezer, put a spoonful of the jelly mixture onto the plate, let it cool, and run your finger through it. And if it rushes back together like a liquid, it's still a liquid. If it stays apart and it feels sticky and it coats the spoon, you've reached setting point, and you can move on to popping it in the jars. If you're not happy, just give it another 5 or 10 minutes at the rolling boil and that'll be fine. Let's take a look at that process. Here you can see right at the end that all that foam suddenly boils up towards the end. If you're into technicalities, we'll test the temperature with a probe, and we're looking for a setting temperature of 104 or above. And we're actually got 106.3, 106.4 there, so that is plenty hot enough to reach setting temperature for jam. You can see this foam just gathers together easily, so I'm going to skim that off and then we'll do a set test on the cold plates. I'm not totally happy that I got a firm enough set yet, so I'm going to put the jam back on the heat just for 5 minutes. Let's have a go then. You can see already the colour, the way that's coating the spoon. That's not just easily dripping off. So that means we're getting towards a good set. There you go, look. Doesn't flow back together quickly. It's got a feel of a solidity to it. That means we'll get a good set. Our jelly's set up overnight. Before we have a look at it, I just want to touch on the setting of jams and jellies, because it's the one thing that trips us all up, and it does it set, will it set? So to recap what we did, boiled up the fruit in water, strained it through a strainer bag and gave the bag a bit of a squeeze at the end, get everything out of that to create a liquid. Then we added 1 kilo of sugar per 1 litre of liquid, brought the lot up to a boil. Now I hard boiled that for 20 minutes, which I'll put in the recipe down below. But you'll have noticed that when I did the plate test, I actually had to put another 5 minutes of hard boiling on to get it to the point I want. And I've still got a relatively soft set. So let's explain what you need to set your jelly. You need sugar, pectin and acidity. You must have those three things all combined together and put them in the presence of heat. And if you've got those in the right proportions, you'll always get a set. Now, Sloes have enough acidity and enough pectin in them to allow that to set, provided you put the sugar and the heat and the liquid together. But it's a soft set. It's kind of like a runny jam. If you want a firm set, like a really hard jelly, then when you put the sugar in, 1 litre of liquid, 1 kilo of sugar, add 125 ml of liquid pectin. We make our own. I'll put a link to the recipe somewhere up there. And a couple of tablespoons of lemon juice to boost the acidity. And with that extra pectin, extra acidity, if you do a hard boil for about 20 minutes and test it, you should get a rock hard set. So whether you want the soft spreadable jelly or a very hard sliceable jelly is entirely up to you. So I'll put them in the recipe as optional ingredients, and you need to decide what you want. Okay, let's take a look at the jelly now. Let's take a look at this jelly then. So, getting a spoon in, and I think you can see if I do that, what I mean by it's a sort of soft, spreadable jelly. It's firm, it's not a liquid, but it's not rock solid either. And if the rock solid is what you're going for, then definitely add in a bit of pectin. Honestly, my advice is always keep some pectin and lemon juice on hand when you're making these things, because if you do the boiling up, you can't achieve a set you're happy with. You can add the pectin and lemon juice then and reboil and firm up the set. So most importantly, how does it taste? Like all the best sauces and chutneys, there's a combination of flavours there. There's the sweetness of the sugar, but you've got a sharpness of the Sloes and an all-round sort of plummy fruitiness. And those three things together whack all different parts of your tongue and create a fantastic flavour combination. It really is good. I like it more than cranberry sauce. I honestly do. It uniquely British, but also really sharp, really tangy, really sweet. Fabulous. For me, I like the softer version if I'm going to be having it with roast meats, because I find it sort of easier to spread a little bit, put a bit on my roast potatoes and a bit on my meat. But the hard version is fantastic with cheese. It's up to you which version you like. I do enjoy, though, some of these more traditional and obscure country things. And I do wonder, would you like to see more? Do you want me to take you to one of our dikes around here and show you what horseradish looks like when it's growing and dig some up and make horseradish sauce? If you do, just let us know in the comments down below. If you want to see that and all the other videos we do on small holding, self-sufficient country living, and you're not subscribed to the channel, just whack on the subscribe button, hit the bell next to it, it's completely free, and you'll hear every time we upload a new video. If you've enjoyed today's, we'd really appreciate it if you could take 5 seconds and hit the thumbs up button down below. But whatever you do, come back and see us soon. Take care.